Guys, it's Nathaniel Repond again, and this is my second video. I promised to release this one after our first video with using Energy Cornerstone as our massive job creation plan. I explained how lowering the taxes would be beneficial all across the board and how it would create jobs in little to no time for the entire United States. Now, I promised you that in this video we were going to talk about how to pay for the lower taxes. Now, we're going to take it one step further, seeing that it's tied into the national debt at $19 trillion, and we'll probably get to $21 trillion by the end of the year, which is just unfathomable. I just don't understand how all the people up in Congress and the Senate could have let it got this far. It's just gross incompetence, and they could have took care of it in a few simple steps when it started happening in the beginning. And we're going to go over it. But we're also going to tackle the yearly budget deficit that we've been having. We're going to eradicate all that. And it's only going to take 4 simple steps. And it's common sense approach. It could be understood by everybody. And it should be passed immediately. If we do this, it is going to set the budget. We're going to have a surplus, and we're going to have the national debt taken care of in little to no time at all. Now, I can't predict the amount of time because, unfortunately, I do not have access to what's coming in and going out of the federal government. None of us do. So we're going to go ahead and address that issue as well. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this plan, this step by step again. All right, paying for the lowered taxes, balancing the yearly budget, and the national debt. All right. Excuse me. Throughout my time talking to people about paying for the lower taxes, I've gotten the same response too often. Lowering taxes will cause the deficit to expand because we will lose more taxes going into the federal government. This is not true. There will be a period from 2 to 4 years that we'll see a dip in the federal tax numbers. Then it'll even out, and then we'll have a surplus. That's how this thing works. We're supposed to have money set up for a rainy day. That's how you become prepared. And I'll tell you how. The job growth alone will make up the numbers in no time. Not only job growth, but the increase in wages, more consumer spending, which is going to help us out on a state level. And that's going to pay for the infrastructure and education. In my opinion, the U.S. Department of Education will become irrelevant and obsolete. And besides, everybody knows Common Core is about worth toilet paper. It honestly is. And that's my opinion. And the increase in travel due to lower gas prices. Remember the federal gas tax? Well, we're going to see the numbers go up, not the tax itself, but the revenue generated from those. Now, I'll explain it in a poor man's perspective. When I go to the gas pump nowadays, I spend enough money, honestly, to get me back and forth to work and to the grocery store. And that's all I can afford. Now, with the energy being produced here domestically and the prices going down, we're going to spend more money going to see our friends and family in other states. We saved for years and are unable to go and visit and do anything, take a vacation or anything at all, because we run into so many issues along the course of a year. We have to wait all year to go and plan this stuff out. Our vacations, we go and see our families at Christmas. It's not really spending time relaxing the way we want to, like on a beach or at a campfire somewhere. But that's going to remedy that. Now, for businesses, you're not really going to be affected too bad. Of course, you're going to see your top dollar that you've been used to over the last 10 years or so come down a little bit. It's not going to affect your profit. Your profit margin is actually going to get larger for the simple fact that your taxes are going to go down almost by half. Corporate tax rate, 35%? And you go down to 15%? Think of the profit margin on that and the gains. You can afford to lower the prices. I would even encourage you to start building cars TVs and electronics in our own country instead of buying them from China or Korea or Japan. Makes pretty good sense, huh? Now, we're going to go ahead and get to the elephant in the room. We're going to tackle the national debt and the budget deficit every year. Remember, 4 simple steps. For decades, we've been building up our current debt bubble. The yearly budget deficit expanding. Now we're going to take care of it. If we continue down the path, the bank is going to come down. They're going to take the horse. They're going to take the farm. The last 3 buttons on your shirt. They're going to take everything. We can't take this anymore. We're going to lose everything. Now, our step-by-step plan. First, we have to introduce and pass a bill stating if any bill hits the House floor that needs funding, it will require a reason for why it is necessary during a time of financial delinquency. An itemized list of every one item needed. Each item's cost, which has to be the cheapest without sacrificing quality. You have to be thrifty. You have to shop around. You have to get more bang for your buck. All the nearest competitive pricing. The shortest ironclad timeline and a crystal clear explanation to we the people of how it will benefit us. I'll probably add a little bit more to this as we go along, and I still need your help and your feedback in order to add and build this up stronger. We can't have fraud in this. It has to be precise, it has to be pinpointed, and it has to be fail-proof. Now, this is a great foundation. It is a building block. It is probably one bill that will save us and balance us out in our budget deficit. And ultimately, it'll help knock out that debt. And I'll explain why. Second, when we do spend money, there will be no more buddy system. Domestic companies will bid for single job, short-term contracts. My father was a builder for most of my young life. He always told me material times 2 equals labor. So that kind of sets a perspective for you. Competition, quickness, dependability, and quality will ultimately determine the bids awarded. Like I said, in a more buddy system, you can't have somebody coming in there scratching a congressman's back and getting a lifelong, contract, or a 20-year contract even. It has to be short term. You have to have competition, and you have to have quality people. If there's a man that's making a product out there that's cheaper and higher quality, and you got the contract for 40 years because you donated to a congressman, it's not right. I'd rather pay for the quality, less expensive product, and that's common sense. Third, it's time to pull the card of every government office at the Fed. An itemized list of every cent of taxpayer money either received or spent. If they do not comply with the quarterly audit, they will be held accountable. Now, I know a lot of folks are going to complain that an audit takes a long time and everything like that. Not if you keep track of your money. When it comes in, you write it down. If it goes out, you write it down. It does not take very long. You do not put off what you can do today for tomorrow. It is simple. You get it, you write it down. You send it out, you buy something, you write it down. Easy. Now back to what we were writing. If they do not comply with the quarterly audit, they will be held accountable. I hear orange clothes tend to change people's mind. Just saying. And for the Wastebook fans, this is going to knock this out completely. If you have that bill coupled with this, you won't have any more mice running on treadmills or $100 million spent on seeing if a plant knows that it's being eaten while it's being eaten. You know what I mean. It's just ridiculous. It's that stupid. And we do spend money on this for maple syrup research for $120,000 or $120 million, whatever it was. Lastly, if you're an elected official and you get a salary of $175,000 a year, and that's just for the House, I think it's like $172,000, but it doesn't matter. Here's a news flash. When you're a working class citizen, which 9 times out of 10, majority of you guys have not held a private sector job ever. If you are a working class poor person like myself and others, salary just means that you work more hours for just a little bit more than an hourly. Alright? And that's the way the world's been working forever. When I went from hourly to a salary, I ended up working twice the amount of hours and getting paid just a little bit more. That's what we do. You know, that's the way the world works, and that's the way we've been living for the last 50, 60 years. And that's the way you're going to have to start living too. And the fourth part, and I don't even have to read off the paper, I think that you should work 6 days a week until you get this fixed properly. And I think that that should be mandatory, seeing that you make that much money. On top of it all, seeing that you are exempting yourself from living by the same edicts that have been put out, like Obamacare, I believe that you should make no more than $10 to $12 an hour as a salary equivalent, which roughly makes about $50,000 to $65,000. So you just lost half your income. And that money can be better spent towards paying off our national debt. See, if you got 400 people making $175,000 and they go down to $50,000 a year, just enough to pay for what they need while they're up there doing their job the right way, then we can put that money towards the national debt and getting paid off. How much do you think that's going to generate every year? Yeah. With all this being said, we're going to add more as we go along. And I think that salary keeps you honest. If you're a statesman, you're not gonna complain going up there, because that's actually a whole lot more than we make a year. You know, majority of the people that I can think of won't see $25,000 a year. I live off of a little less than 22, maybe 18. So this will keep you honest. And that is the way that we stabilize the budget. And I'm not talking about balance. I'm talking about making sure that we have excess. That way we have a backup plan. And we're going to keep you working until you get it right. I suggest you pass this the way it is and make sure that it's pointed so we don't have fraud. No more buddy system. And ultimately, when we cut out all the waste in the government and we have audits and knowing where every single dime, every single cent goes, we can allocate that to where it needs to go, paying off our national debt. And because once that goes back into the black instead of the red, yeah, that's the strongest economy that you can probably get to right now, seeing that everybody else in the world is in debt. You want to lead? Go ahead and start getting the economy back in order. Get yourself on stable footing, because then we can start helping people if they need it. And that's pretty much it for this particular part. I want you to comment. I want you to get back to me, because if I left anything out, I need people that are more intelligent than me to help me build this more. This is for our kids. It's for our future, our grandchildren. No longer in debt. It's something to live for, to look forward to in life, and the security and peace of mind knowing that our children aren't going to be enslaved to a problem that is going to be a perpetual cycle for the rest of their lives and for the rest of their children's lives. I want to see them grow and flourish. And that is how we pay for the lowered taxes and tackle the national debt and the yearly budget deficit. No longer be called a deficit here in 2 years. It'll be called a surplus. And I appreciate it every day that I get to talk to somebody about this. Now, I want to thank my family and my friends and Mr. Trump and the local government guys that are running out here trying to take on establishment candidates. They're a big inspiration in my life. And this is the reason why I'm doing this. Appreciate your time. And in our next video, I'm going to try to do the vets here in a couple weeks, because I really need to get more information, collect more, because it is a very complex issue. But we will go ahead and start doing the next video. I'll probably tackle immigration here in the next couple days. I appreciate your time, and thank you for watching this video. And please, please, let's do our best to make America better than it's ever been. I thank you. You have a great day. God bless.